So in here, if we go with the basics of NumPy, NumPy is we are using NumPy for array type of data. We discussed last time, we discussed about arrays, a small amount of arrays like list and then tuples and the dictionaries. So those type of data we can consider as arrays because we have huge amount of data separated by commas. So then how to create an array type data, then slice and index them. You know some basics about indexing and then the dimension, because we can like load multi-dimension data. So if we go with multi-dimension data, it is like this. You should have a cubical data. It's like cubical data. So if you take one slice in meteorology field, you know, we will take this one. Just imagine if this is a map, we need to have latitudes and longitudes. So it will show a map data. So one slice is equal to first time step. That means this one can be daily or monthly or either seconds or in minutes, specific time interval, hourly or something. So each slice is representing one time interval. So inside here you can consider either temperature, you can have one variable named temperature. And also meanwhile you can have in the same set of data, you can have precipitation. You can have other sort of variables. So this is the multi-dimension data. We will discuss this one in deep when we discuss with the X-array. So how to create an array type data. So now I am not going to give you this code. You need to start coding. I am not giving this code. Now you know how to do the coding. First, import the NumPy library. So when you are importing the library, how we are going to import? Import NumPy as .np and execute this one. So it will give me, let me clear these all the outputs because I have. So you have to start typing. Now I am not going to give you. Just import. Some guys should have like get some errors. Some guys will not get any errors, but some guys will get errors. Create an empty file and import NumPy. How to import a variable? Like now you are importing module NumPy as np. So you know how to create an empty notebook file, no? How you can create an empty notebook file? Click on this plus icon. You have two ways. You can click on this plus icon, so you can go into file, new. I will use the shortcut. Click on this one. Then I need a notebook file, not a console or anything. I can click here, so it will create me a new notebook file. So how you can save this one? You can click on this save button and then give your notebook file a name. So this one I will give as like, you can give a name, intro to NumPy, and you can save. Now you can rename and save. So it will save this file as intro to NumPy in here. So you can see the file is created and is saved in here. Now you can type all the commands in here. Now you know if you need to add a note, how you can add a note. You don't need to type or write it in your book. You can create a markdown cell and type, okay, this is what we did in here. And then you can execute. So it will be a note. If it is a code cell, you can type the code and shift enter. So first one is importing NumPy from your module. Did you guys exported this one? Imported this one. So if it is imported successfully, you will not get any error. In front, you will see a number. Okay, if you guys successfully imported NumPy, then you can go with the second code. So A equal np array. So np array is what? So if we need to create an array type data, we have to call for this function. Then we can pass a list and it will automatically convert it into array type data format. So even if we can see from the functions over there, if I go here, it is showing me nd array. The data type is int dtype, integer type. Data is stored over there and is an array. So when you are creating an array, you need to call for numpy dot array function. So how you can see this array function? I discuss about these things. You can shift tab and it will give you the docstring. So when you are creating an array, if you go here, it is mentioning. There's a huge description. If you can read this description and it is showing. If you need to create an array, this is the way, np array, then you have to type your array between box brackets, comma separated value. So if you create something like this, it will create this. If you need floating point values, you can specify one floating point, then it will automatically convert the entire array into floating point. And then if you need like values like tuples, when we are creating dictionaries, we discuss shipping. If you need a shipping something like this, you can create the array using this box bracket. So that's why I'm encouraging you to go and read the docstring function. No matter what, if you are calling for another function from like additional function from somewhere else, you need to know about the docstring. If you go inside the docstring, you will see some examples. From there also you can learn, okay, this is the way that you can create arrays. So you can try to execute. So at the end, it will show you, okay, this is array and this is the array type data that you have created. Anyone is getting any error? So now in arrays, we can see the dimension. We should have like dimension. I say like if it is multi-dimension, we should be able to see like all the dimensions that this array has. So if I need to see the dimensions, I can type array name dot dim. So it's mentioning if I need to see the dimension of array, I can type ndim. So this one is one dimension array. I don't have like 3 or 2 other dimensions because this is simply a flat array. So that's why I am saying 1. So this is one dimension array, 1D array. Even it is mentioning from here, if I go into this one, it is showing me ND array, multi-dimension arrays, but I only have one dimension. And then if I need to see the shape, so the array shape, like if I have like 2 dimension data, like if I have latitude and longitude data, it should be like a table. So it should be 2 dimension. Right now I only have one column. That's why I say it's 1 dimension, because in here I only have one column data. So it should be like 1 dimension. If I ask for the shape, it will show me the number of rows that I have, because this is only one column, but I have 3 rows. If you need to create 3-dimensional data, you can see from here the docstring is showing. So if you type something like this, what will happen? Now it has 2. Now if you need to create 3-dimension, you know how to create it. That's why I am saying just go to the docstring file and see. Go to the docstring and see. Actually, we are not going to create arrays. We will use this one to read some data. But before you read the data, you need to understand this concept. Because we will not create 3-dimension data. If you need to create, you can create. But the thing is, main thing, we will like import the data and then we will read. But when you are reading, you need to understand, okay, these are the concept behind these things. So if you need to show the dimensions, see the dimensions, number of dimensions that data has, the short form you have to use is ndim. So this is not, you don't need to type this entire thing. Last time I say, if you type a dot, what will happen? A dot hit tab. So it will show you all the things. Otherwise you can type n and it will show you all the functions you can use with this one. So if there's the ndim, if I type ndim, like click on that thing and hit enter, you don't need to type the entire thing. You just need to type the first few letters and hit tab. So it will give you the recommendation. If I need to view the shape, I can type S, H, hit tab, it will give you. From the SH, I can use only the shape. So shape is 3. First one is 3. If we have, like, just imagine if it is a tabular data, something like this. I have 3 rows and 2 columns. So the dimension will be 2. Last time you asked about this, no, you can copy the same command in here. Just go into this example, shift tab, and you can copy this example. Instead of typing it, you can copy this simple example. So if I copy this one and paste it in here and shift enter, what will happen? It is showing me array. If I type ndim, now it is 2 dimension. See, now it is 2 dimension. If I ask for the shape, what will be the shape? Now you understand. It is like a table. This one is the first column, this one is the second column. So how many rows I have? How many rows? 2 rows, 2 columns. If I need to increase this one into 3 columns and 2 rows, how I can do it? Here I can type comma, I can put 3. Here I can type another comma and put 5. So if I execute this one, now it is 3 columns, 2 rows. But the dimension is still 2 because I don't have another dimension in here. So if I need to add another dimension, I need to specify another bracket and put the same copy over there. Then it will be 3 dimension. So now if I ask for the shape, what will be the shape? 2, 3. So it is showing me 2 rows and then 3 columns. So these are the things that you need to understand when you need to view the number of dimension, whether it is 3D data, 4D data, or any other kind of data. To see the dimension, you can specify the array type data, then dot nd to view the dimension of that specific array. But if you need to see the shape of that data, you can type the name of the variable or the array and then dot shape. So it will give you the shape of that specific array. Now if I need to see the data type, I can type dtype. So it will give me the specific data type of that array. So this one is integer type data. 64, this is like integer format, like integer 64, integer 32. You can search for this one like in the web. It is like the floating point. Yeah, 64-bit. If it is 32, if you see 32, it is like in 32-bit. If it is 8, it is in 8-bit. If it is 16, it is in 16-bit. That means number of decimal points that you can have in that integer. Yeah. This is the like number of decimal points. If it is like more, that means you can store like more decimal points over there. So right now it is like in 64 by default. So we can also do the same thing. NumPy array, it is creating an array. This time what will happen? Last time it is showing int64, integer type. Now if I execute this one, what will happen? It will replace the a with new array. But in here the dimension is 2 and then the shape dimension is 2, because if you closely see this one, I open 2 brackets, not 1 bracket. If I delete this 1 box bracket from the both side, what will happen? Now it is 1 dimension. But if I put 2 box brackets at the very end, it will be like 2 dimension, but the second column is, second row is not there. Second row is not there. Only first row is there. If I ask dimension, it will show you 2. But if I ask for shape, it is saying only 1 row 5 columns. But if I need to have like another column, how I can mention? I can put a comma. Let me copy this entire array and put it over there. So I will have another row. So if I execute this one, now I have 2 columns, 5 columns and 2 rows. So you need to specifically see about these numbers. First one is numbers rows. The second one is number of columns. So if I go for the data type, now it is 40 float, but I have 64 decimal places. By default, it will convert into 64 because the operating system is 64-bit. So next is arrange. So why the arrange function? We discussed about the arrange function previously. It is coming from Python. It is not a NumPy library, but in NumPy we have that function. But if we type arrange, what will happen? You can view the Docstrings. What will happen? It is also the same thing. It will create an tuple. Since we are tired like importing from NumPy, it will create an array. Simple array, it will create a simple array with 5 elements starting from 0. And if I ask to print it, it will say now this is an array with 5 elements 0, 1, 2, 3. Now if I type np arrange 3, 11, what will happen? No. Now here I am mentioning 3 to 11. So here if you see the Docstring, first value is start, second value is stop, and the third value should be the steps. In here I only provide 2 values. If I provide 2 values, what will happen? The start to the stop. So start value will be 3, the ending value will be 10, not 11, 10. So if I provide 3 values, in here I am going to provide 3 values. If I provide 3 values, what will happen? So the starting point is 1, ending point is 10. The step mean omit every single 2, like first value will be 1. After another value, like after 2 values, it will be 3. Likewise, it will go till 10, because in here if you see the Docstring they mention, that's why I am like at the very beginning I am also like keep mentioning this one, you need to read the Docstring. If you read the Docstring, you will understand about the function. If you read the Docstring, you understand the function. See in here they say like you can pass 3 arguments. If you pass 3 arguments, what will happen? The start, stop, step values are generated within the half open interval stop step with the spacing between the values given by the step. So you can try to run these things. In the arrange function, we can either pass 2. If I pass 2, it is meaning like, okay, is same space 1 by 1, show the values. If I type 2, now it is skipping one value and creating the loop. In here, if I type, I can type even 3, what will happen? Every once the step is 3. In between the equal, like in between these two values, it should be like 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. 7 minus 4 is 3. Then the line spaces. You can create the same way. You can either use arrange or line space when you are creating an array. Line space also will create an array. It's same like arrange, but there's a few different like difference between line space and array. If you see the Docstring of line space, what it is saying? It is saying you can give start, stop, then numbers, then the endpoint, then a step, whether you need to assign a step, whether you need to assign a data type or the axis. So this one is advanced than arrange, but it is the both functions are same. In here we are passing 5, 15 and 5. What will happen? So 3 variables are there. First one is start, the second one is stop, then next one is number. So if I print this one, what will happen? 5.0, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15.5. So this one is creating, if you understand the command, what it will create? if you read this, the first one is 5 and the last value is 15, and then I am saying 5. So numbers, how many numbers I need in between 5 and 15? So I need between 5 and 15, I need 5 numbers. So it will divide the values between 5 and 15 into equal values and give me 5 values. So here you can see at the very end I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will divide, it will create a list between 5 and 15 and divide it by 5. Like I need 5 equal space values in between 5 and 15. So if I type 6, what will happen? It should give me 6 values in between 5 and 15. This is not like a step count, it is giving me 6 value, equal space 6 values between 5 and 15. No matter what, if I type 10, it will give me 10 values in between 5 and 10. It will do the calculation for me and create the list. In between 5 and 15, equal space 10 values. So it will give me the values. If I type NB line space 2.5, 10.5, 11, what will happen? 11 values between 2.5 and 10.5. So what's the difference between arrange and line space? In arrange, we can say, okay, this is the starting point, this is the ending point, and then the last value will be the number of steps in between these intervals. But when it comes to line space, the third value is is the thing that it is showing. We need 10 values, not the space between the values. We only need 3 values. That's the difference. In arrange, it's the number of steps. In line space, the third value is number of values we need. So the next thing is performing basic calculation with Python, like not with the Python, actually using in Python using NumPy. Because why the main purpose that we are using NumPy is two things, like the broadcasting and vectorization. Vectorization means in your CPU, you can like right click and open the task manager. You will see, if you open the task manager, you will see, if you go into your like performance under the CPU, you will see number of cores. If you change this graph into overall utilization, you will see a single graph. But if you go with the logical processors, you will see how many processors that you have in your PC. So with the number of processors, like the single cores, we can distribute. Just imagine if we need to compute one like a calculation, we can distribute the task among these each single core without using one core. That's why we use vectorization in Python. We will discuss this like in depth in a separate session. So the main thing behind this one is it will utilize all of these CPU cores when doing a calculation. But in here, for that thing, we will create a simple array A and array B. There are two ways that we are creating. We discuss about this one. A range 5 to 10 mean. You can view the docstring. It will create an array between 5 and 6. You can execute this one and then you can view A and then you can also view B. So now if you view the B, is creating using a loop function from starting from 3, then 3 plus I. So 1.4 divided by 1.5 divided by 4 for I range between 5. So you will get an array like this. Then when we need to do a calculation, what we will do? So first we need to get every single individual item in that list and iterate through every single item in that list. But in NumPy, we don't need to perform that thing. So when we need to get a result, typically when we are using Python, we have to process it like this. So we have to select every single item in that list and do the like calculation each item by item. But when it comes to, so you see, now we did the calculation like appending x plus y. So 3 plus 5, it will be 8. And then the second one, 3.37 plus 6, it will be 9. So now what's happening is like is selecting one the first element from here and appending the first item from here. So now it's like looping through one by one. But when it's come to NumPy, you don't need to do it like that. You can simply hit A plus B. But you can try to like press A plus B for these two, but it will not work. So what will happen if I press A plus B without this one, without looping or something? If I hit A plus B, it's giving me an error. So I cannot do something like that if I am going with like pure Python. But if I use NumPy, so this is also a way of creating a NumPy array. So np arrange, NumPy arrange, and then create an array between 5 to 9, and then np line space same way using 5 equal spaced interval I can create one array. So if I view these two, you can see A is an array between numbers from 5 to 9, and then if I hit B, I can see it's also an array from how many items are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now if I hit A plus B, what happened? It added all the numbers like 5 plus 3, 8, then 6 plus 3, 9.375, then 7 plus 3, 10.75. Just imagine like in this case, we only have how many items in this list? 5. In this array, we only have like 5 numbers. But when it comes to like our calculation, just imagine if we go for like daily temperature for 30 years, you can like imagine 365 multiplied by 30. So how many elements will be there? When you try to do a calculation like this, it will take some time. Like if you go with for loop, it will take some time. But if you use NumPy, then it will do the calculation within like less time. That's why the main purpose that we are discussing about NumPy live. And then even we can do the same thing. If you do the multiplication, what will happen? It is doing the multiplication part as well. So 5 times 3 is 50, and then 6 times 3.7 number, if you can multiply, you will get the output as this. So now you can see how it is like doing the calculation. So it will go for like number of items, like this one should be like also 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the second array also need to be in the same value. So it will do the calculation. Let me go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it will create the new array in the way like if I do an addition, just plus these two numbers and get the value in here, and then plus two numbers and get the values in here. What will happen if I like delete one item and like go with this one? The shape will be like how, like that's why I discuss about the shape. So if I print the shape in here, right now what's the shape? So a dot shape 5 into 1. So if I hit b dot shape, is also 5. What will happen if I decrease this one into 9? So if I hit 9, now it should be one element less, and like 4 by 0, and b is still the same. 5 elements are there, the shape is 5. Now if I hit this one, it's giving me an error. So to do something like this, both of the arrays need to be in same shape. Otherwise, we cannot do any calculation like this. That's why at the very beginning, I mentioned that you need to know about these functions: number of dimensions, number of shape, and the data type. So these things I am not going to repeat again. So that's why we are using these things and discussing about these things. So keep in your mind that you need to these arrays need to be in the same shape. Otherwise, you cannot do any calculation. So let me reset this one back to 10 and go ahead. So now it's doing the calculation without any error. So even when we need an constant, so you know what's the value of pi. Typically when we round it up, like we will say like 3 point, I forget the number. 147 or something, we will say. But it is longer than that. When we need the actual value, we need to get the number of floating points, like the maximum number of floating points. So how we can get it? Like in NumPy, we have this constant value already stored. We just need to call like np. We said like np is the short name for NumPy. From that import pi. So you can see the pi value of that thing. We can like directly import from the NumPy library without like typing it manually. Even the exponential value, we have the e value over there as well. And then we can perform a calculation, or we can create an array using these values without like typing it manually. We can directly call for pi value from the NumPy array and we can use. That's the other advantage of using this NumPy library. And then we have some mathematical functions inbuilt to NumPy. So if we need to get the sign value, we just need to call np, then sign the value of t. So here we created an array with values ranging from 0 to 6.26 thing. Like you can see, we use the arrange function. So the main purpose of arrange function is to create an array. You know, we discussed about this function like last time. First one will be the starting value. So starting value will be 0. And then the ending value will be 2 times np pi. Then plus np pi divided by 4. So we are doing a scientific like calculation in here. So this will be the ending value. And then this is the number of steps. So if we need to get the sign value of these all the variables in here, so how we can use? We can call np.sign. np sign is, if you view the Docstring function, it is saying if you need to get an sign value of an array, you can call for this function. Then it will automatically give you the sign values of these radian values that we have created. So if I hit this one, now what should I get? The sign values of this, all the values in the array. The sign value of 0 is like 0. If we go for if you check for these values, you will get these are the radian values and these are the sign value of that specific numbers. And then also we can like round up this one. But how we can round? If we need to round the values, we don't need all the decimal points. We need to round up this one into like 3 decimal like places. We don't need all the values in here like all the decimal places. How we can do? We can get print np, round this one into sign t and number of decimal places, 3 decimal places. If I hit this one, now you will get the sign value with only 3 decimal places. If you need like 4 decimal places, you can change this one according to your need. If you need how many number of decimal places, you can do this one. Same thing goes with the cost function as well. If we need to do the perform a calculation using cost, we can use the same function. So if you guys are typing, you guys can type these commands. First, you need to import. First, you need to import the NumPy. I think we did this one at the very beginning. Okay, let me share the code so we can follow up. No, otherwise it will take some time. I already shared the code in the group. You can open up that file. Then you can follow along. Otherwise it will take some time. So same thing. If you need the course function, you have the np.post. You only need to remember how to call for this function, like we discussed. If you need to view all the functions in the NumPy library, np dot, and then hit tab, then you will see absolute value and then post inverse, and then you have all these arc post and arc sign, all the functions. It will be listed in here. If I need the post value, I can type post and then hit tab. It will give me, it has this function, so I can type the input array, then I can get the post value of these values, the radian values. So same way I can do this one. And then if I need to convert these radian values into degrees, there's an inbuilt function, rate to degrees. So if I call for this one, it will convert all of these radian values into degrees. So let me convert this one, then you will see. So the first value is 0. If you see the value of the radian, like the what we call the value of degree of the first item in this list, it will be 0 degrees, and the second value of this one in radian, it will be 45 degrees, and the third value will be 90 degrees. So now you can understand why we get values like this. So first value we get 0. Why? Sin 0 is 0. So then sin 90 is 1. So we get 1 in here. So now you can understand, like this is what we're going to create is a graph. So we will see. And then even if we need to do an trapezoidal rule, we have the inbuilt function traps. So if you see the docstring of this one is giving you the what we call the docstring of that specific function. If you go with these things, like if you see the function, you will see what it is doing. So it is getting the trapezoidal value and rounding up for us. So all the values, it will be like -0. Then even if we need to get the sum of the values, how we can get the sum of these values? We also can get this one. What it will do? It will calculate the cost value of this t, and then now we have in here cost t mean, what's the value of cost t? This one. The, like in here what we'll get? The value of cost, and then it will stored in an array. Now if we do this calculation, what it will do is calculating the sum of all the cost values in that array, and it will print us the value, the final value, the sum. And then same thing in here, cumulative sum, it will give us this one. This is like just the functions inbuilt. You don't need to remember these things, but you can like think, okay, we have this inbuilt function in NumPy library. That's the main point. You don't need to remember, like if you need to do a sign calculation or something, like we are dealing with, you know, when we are doing a calculation, we are dealing with equation. When you need to type an equation, you need to remember, okay, if I need the sign in NumPy library, I can call for that sign function and get the sign value of all the values. If you need to get calculate like sole azimuth angle or something in our specific equation, we can get the values. But when we need to do the calculation, we can call for NumPy library and do the calculation like this. That's the main point. So next one is indexing and slicing. So when we are discussing about list and what we call tuples and dictionaries, we discuss when we need to access a single individual item in that list, how we can do. We are using indexing. In arrays also we can do the same thing. We have slicing and then indexing. We can slice up an array. We don't need to access the entire array. Just imagine last time I discussed, like if we have like temperature values for 30 years stored in array, but now we only need to focus on 1 year and get the sum of that value. So how we can do? We need to know about indexing. So we can select the index of the first value for the starting year, and then the ending index of that year, and get this one, the slice this array in, and like save it into a separate array, and like do the the calculation. For that thing we need to know about like indexing and slicing of the arrays. So it's also same in this command what we are going. So since we didn't import any like data to our code, we are still dealing with like temporary data or like the virtual data that we created. To create an data set, we are using arrange function. So it will create an array from 0 to 12, from like 0, 1, 2, 3 till 11, and then it will reshape into the shape of 3, 4. That means what will happen? This one will it will create the values from 0 to 11 and reshape this one into 3 by 4. That means 3 columns and 4 rows. So if I execute this command and view A, you can see we have 3 columns and 3 rows and 4 columns. So last time I mentioned A dot shape should give us the shape of this one. So you can see it is in like 3 by 4, and the dimension will be, I need to type ndim. So it will give me the dimension as 2. So now I have that array. So now how I can access? So if I need to access this 0, how I can print only this value in the array? So now you need to know how you can access. Otherwise, if I need to access this value, how I can access? Oh, I need to access this specific value. How I can access? For this one, you need to know about the indexing. So this is the simple chart. Just imagine if your value is like 2D. So from the starting point, it will be 0. The column value will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last time when we are discussing in the list, we discussed we can access using the minus as well. So if you go in the reverse direction, it will be -1 at the very last column, and the other value will be at the beginning. So now if I need to access the first value in first column and first row, how I can access it? It should be 0, 0. And if I need to access this value, how I can access? If I need to access this value, this is specific value, how should I access? 3 and then 3. So this one you need to remember. Otherwise, I can go with minus as well. If I need to access this one using like minus, I can go -3, -3. Even I can go with minus and positive. If I type -3 plus 3, it should also give me the same value. So this thing you need to keep remember, like when you are accessing like specific values in an array. So now if I type a 1, 2, what should be the output? So let me print the a in here. So if I type a, it is giving me the array in here. So if I type 1, 2, what should be the value? So it's giving me 6. Why? So 1 mean second column, second row. Because in Python we are calculating first value as 0, not like 1. So we have 2 values before this, and for 2 that means 3, third column, second row, third column. So if I go this one, second row will be this one, and then the third column 1, 2, 3, this one. So if I type A2, what will happen? Is giving me the third column. So if I need to get the values of like first column, how I can access? So now you can imagine, last time I discussed only one single array. Now even in like if you call for NumPy, we can call for the entire table. Same like what we call X-array. But X-array is much advanced than NumPy. It's the basic, the foundation is coming from NumPy. So just imagine if you have like a huge table with number of columns and number of tables, and you know this specific column contain some temperature values. Oh, this specific column contain precipitation value. This one contains some other values. If you need to like separate this one, the split these values, now you know. Like just imagine if I need to get the first column. This is the way how I can get all the values in first column, first row, third row. So if I need to access the first row, what will be 0. So if I need to get second column, it will be 1. Only thing you need to remember is like in Python we are using 0 as 1 because Python is 0 based. And then if I type a 0 minus 1, what will be the value? So it should be first row, minus 1 mean the last column. So value should be minus 3. That's why I say we can like go with the combination like minus and plus values. So it gives me number 3. So in slicing, we can use this colon mark like 2 double dots. What it will happen like if we do like 2 double dots, if you use this 2 double dots, in between this one we specify like 2 numbers, what will happen? So if I type 1 3, what is happening? So it is giving me first 2 columns and all the rows, 2 rows and 3 columns. Why? In here I mentioned like if I use this one, it is mentioning like stop, start, stop, and then the stop step. If I go for like 3, but in here I didn't specify the steps. I only say start and stop. So what it will happen? It will extract all the like first 2 rows with all the values in first 3 columns. So here if I type 4 columns. So here if I type 2, what will happen? It's giving me only the values in here. So you can see get the second and third rows I can access using this command. And if I need to get all the values in rows and third column, all rows and third column, all the values in the third column, how I can do this? So if I type 2 double dot comma 2, what will happen? Let me type A, then you will understand. So if I need to get all the values in second column, this follower, if I need to get only the values in this second column, so how I can get it? Now you will see all the values in second columns are appearing in like 2, 6, 10. So that means all the values in rows and but focus only on second column. We discussed first one is row and second one is column. No matter what, first one is row, second one is column. In here, if I mention 2 dots, that means all the rows. But in here, I specify just focused on only the second column, not the second column, third column. So if I say something like this, what will happen? If I do the opposite way, do it like oppositely. 2, and then if I say this, what will happen? What's the meaning of this one? Go for third row. Only focus on the third row, but give me the values of every single column. So now it should print me this value. For this one, we don't need to type something like this. We can only type 2. That will give. But when we need to access one column, we have to go with this one. Only if we need to access a certain column. But for rows, we don't need to type something like that. But if we type, it will work. And then the other thing, if I mention something like this, it will also give the full slice of that column. And then if I hit this one, what will happen? 2 dots and 2. First thing I say, we are using this one to get all the values. Then I am saying focus on third row. So what happened? Instead of like giving me the values in the second, I am asking about, like in here I am asking about second column. This is like directly saying second row. If I type 2 double doors, you don't need to think about like 0. It will directly access the second row, but instead of giving the values of second row, it will give me all the other values. The inverse. If you need to select an inverse, you can do something like this. But the main thing that you need to select, remember in here, main things is how to do an indexing, how to select an specific number. This one you need to remember, and the other thing, how to select an specific row, and the other thing, how to select an specific column. These are the three main things that you need to remember, but you can like go through these things, and also you can like include if whenever if you need something like this, you can use it. So now we can go for and like simple exercise. So in here, what you need to do, there will be an data array will be created. What I need is like the calculate 2-point average using Python list and loop, convert it to obtain the same result using NumPy slicing. And then you can convert this one into 3-point running average. How we can do this one? So loop is here, but now you only need to get the value for what we call using NumPy. In here I discussed last time we can use looping as well. We can use NumPy directly to call for this specific function. So how we can use NumPy to do this specific thing? So here is creating an data, and now is creating an output, an empty array as out. So now it's calculating I in range length of data. That means length of data mean the length of this data array. So what's the length? Then length minus 1. The entire range will be length minus 1. That means number of values in this one. And then output, append all the values. Data I mean the first value of this data, and then data I plus 1. That means plus the second value, 3 plus 1 divided by 2, and get that value, append in the row, and then 3 plus 5 divided by 2. Like how you know how to calculate the moving average now? Here, like how we can calculate the simple like moving average. So one thing is you can use loop, the other one is you can use NumPy. So what's the how you can calculate the moving average? How you can calculate the moving average? So this is the value 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then 11. How to calculate the moving average of these things? This entire array. First thing is like you need to get the first two values and get the average. And then you have to get the second two values and get the average. And then you have to get these two values and get the average. And then you have to get these two values and calculate the average, these two values and get the average. So what will happen in this loop? So it is calculating 1 plus 3 divided by 2 is 2. Then 3 plus 5 divided by 2, 4. 5 plus 7, what's the value? 12. 12 divided by 2, 6. And then 7 plus 9, what's the value? 16. Divided by 2, 8. And then 9 plus 11, 20. Divided by 2, 10. So now what's happening? In here, if you understand the coding, this one is the data. So here I am like creating a list manually. Now out mean this one means an empty list. So last time I discussed, if you put like your variable name equal to box bracket, it will give you the empty list. Now what's happening? I am like looping through this entire list, and calculating. First value, get the data. I say like appending values into that specific array. For that one, for the first element, I am saying data I. In data, if I say I, it should be like 0. First index, like index from the indexing, first value. And then data I plus 1 mean the second value. That means 3 and divide by 2 and append it into the output array. So this one will like loop through. This is because this is a for loop. So then it will go for the second value. That means 1. That means 3 and then 1 plus 1, 2. That means 5 divided by 2 and store in the out. Then next go for the third value. So for the third value, it will go for 7 and then plus 9. Likewise, it will do the calculation. So this is looping. So now I need how I can do this one using NumPy. This is looping. No? Here we didn't use like any NumPy library. But if I need to use NumPy, how I can do this? This one. What's the purpose of len? If you type len data, what will I get as the output? If I type something like this, len and then I type data and then in, it's giving me 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 6 minus 1. So that means I need to go through the range. In range of like if I say like okay, if I say 6 minus this length minus 1 mean what's the value? 5, no? Value is 5. So it need to loop through how many times? 5 times. So actually not 5. We say like from 0. If we count 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means 6 times it need to iterate. Otherwise, I can directly type this one. If I know the range, instead of typing I can say go for 5 times. In here, if you don't know the range, just imagine like you have a data like list with huge amount of numbers, but you don't know where it is going to eat, or like the length of that specific array. In here, you can calculate, no? But imagine if you have like 10,000 or 20,000, you don't know the exact ending point of that array. So how you can like get the like stopping point of that loop? You need to calculate the moving average till the end. So that's why I am mentioning in here, go till the range of 5. That means start from 0 and end at 5. So now this for loop will iterate through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's why I am saying like data length minus 1. So if I type data len, it should give me an error. Let me delete this minus 1 part and execute this. Now it is saying list index out of range. Why? No, it's not unlimited. So it should like this for loop should iterate from 0 to 6. So it will try to iterate how many times? 7 times. It will try to iterate through 7 times. But in this list, how many numbers I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I don't have one additional number. So that's why you have to type len minus 1. The guys who into programming, they know like if I need to iterate through the entire list, I have to type len data minus 1. So it will iterate through all the values in that list. That's why we use this function. I think you can understand this. That's why we use this. Now in here, I show this is the way that you can use using the looping. But how we can do this one using now NumPy slicing? How we can do this one using NumPy slicing? We discuss about NumPy. How we can do this? Instead of typing like this, we can use this one to use like NumPy. The same thing, if we need to calculate a moving average, we can use NumPy. Now you need to be like creative. Let me load the solution. So this is the solution. It should be like np array. So it will convert this same array into, now what is this one? The data format of this one. Is it an array or a list or a tuple or a dictionary or anything? That's the format of this. It should be list because we are ending with like 2 box brackets. To convert this one into array, at the very beginning I say np array, then you have to pass that list. Otherwise, what I can do, I can type in here, I can type data. So it will convert that list into an array. So after I convert this list into an array, so let me execute one by one. What will happen? This one will create an array for me. So if I type data and see, it's saying me array. Now it's converted into an array. So now how we can calculate the moving average? So I can assign the variable name out and then equal. Then now how I can do the calculation? How to calculate the moving average when you are calculating the moving average? So I need to get these values, all of these values, and then I need to get all of these values. And then how I can calculate? Add them together and divide it. So how I can do it? So you understand the concept now, calculating the moving average, like getting these two values and then divide it. Now what I can do when using NumPy, I can get all the values starting from here to till 9. I can separate this one and store in a new temporary list. And then I can get the values from 3 to 11 and store in the values in a separate list. So what will be the shape? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Both arrays will be in shape of 5. So then if I go separately, A will be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then if I go with B, the second one, what will be the value? 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So now using these two, how I can calculate the moving average? We discuss, if I need to get the addition, I just need to type A plus B. Then what will happen? It will get the addition of these two values, 1 plus 3, and then these second values, 3 plus 5, and then these two values, 5 plus 7, and then 7 plus 9, 9 plus 11. So it will give me the addition of these two, 4, then 8. Likewise, it will give me the values. And now to get the average, what should I have to do? Just simply divide this A plus B by 2. Then I can get the average value. So that's what we have done in here. So we say simply what will happen in here? Data, semicolon, then 2 dots, minus 1. What will happen? First one is row, second one is column. So minus 1 means last value. So except last value, get all the value. So it will get, except this 11, it will store all the other values. So if I divide this one into steps, how I can divide this? Instead of this, if I go with A, let me type A equal, then data within box bracket, if I type all, then minus 1, what should be the output? Let me print this one as well. So if I type A, what's the output? Skip the last column, that means I type minus 1. Skip the last value and get all the other values. So it give me the first 3 values. So how I can skip the first value and get all the other values? Likewise, if I need B, let me imagine B equal data, then within box bracket I can type how? I can type this one. Skip the first value and get all the other values. 1 dot all. So now if I view B, what will happen? It is giving all the other values except the first value. So now it will perform these two calculations. That means A plus B. If I go separately, it will do A plus B. So now it's doing the addition. After that, what's happening? It's dividing by 2. So this is the step that you can use NumPy when you perform a calculation like this. Same way, you can either do using this for loop, or you can use it using this way. What's the shortest way? This is like more headache, no? But this one will be much more easy. But in the computation side, in here we deal only with like how many numbers? Only with 6 numbers. Just imagine a scenario that like you have temperature, but you have temperature value for like 10 or like for 5 or so many years that you are going to focus on. Now you need to calculate the moving average. Like, or just imagine like precipitation values, but you need to calculate moving average and like fill the empty value. So how you can do it? You can use NumPy library for that kind of task, because this one will take some time, but NumPy, it will not take that much time because of the vectorization in the inbuilt into the NumPy. And then the next one, so given is the array data below, calculate the total of each of the column, add each of the 3 columns together. So how I can calculate total of each column? Now this is an array, no? np arrange 12 reshape into 3 by 2, 3 by 4. What will happen? This command, what will happen? np arrange. So you can divide this one into parts. So if I type np dot arrange and then hit 12, what will happen? So it should be arrange. I typed like double R. So what's happening? It is creating an array from 0 to 11. Now if I type dot reshape, what will happen? Same like at the end of this np dot arrange, I am typing dot reshape. Then I am specifying number of, first number is what? Number of rows, and then the second number is number of columns. That means this one should be, this single array should be arranged in 3 rows and 4 columns order. So 3 by 4 is 12. So that's why I can go with, in here like I have the value 12. If I type this one like 13, can I go something like this? Can I do something like this? Can I do something like this? Why? What's the problem? It failed to reshape because it doesn't have that many values. If I type this one, it should give me an error. See, cannot reshape array size of 13 into shape of 3 by 4. You will get this value when you are doing a calculation. Like when you are doing a research, you will like typically focus for these kind of issues because of this. That means your values in your array cannot be like reshaped into this shape because it can't do this one simply because it is like out of the shape. So if I have like 16, how I can reshape this one? I can go for 4 by 4 or 2 by 6, 2 by 8. So if I do 4 by 4, it will happen. So that's another point that you have to keep in your mind. So what will happen? So it is getting the first 4 values and storing it as a first row, and then getting the next 4 values and storing as the second column, and then last values and shaping it as the third row. Now how I can calculate the sum of the first row, not the first row, here I am asking columns. So how I can calculate the sum of this column, this column, this column, this column, and get the sum? How I can calculate the column sum? Using the NumPy, how I can calculate the column sum? Oh, without number, you can think, okay, how you can calculate the sum? How you can like perform a calculation like this? Normal way. You can create three, like if you, how many columns are there? 4 variables, and you store each column and extract it into a list. And then you can get the sum of each single like list, and then you can add them together. That's one single solution. So the other one, so what is happening in here? Data 0, data 1, data 2, and then plus. What will happen? What does data 0 means? If I type data 0, what's the output? You can type in an individual column and see. If I type data 0, what will happen? It should extract the dimension data np array solution. Oh, I didn't execute this one. It is still reading that one. That's the other thing. So last time, if you remember, this value is not there. 86 is not there. So I executed this one, 85. So what happened? It was reading the first value. Last time also I created a value as data. No? In here also I created. So in here, if I type data 0, what will happen? It will get the first value, because in this one it's only like one row, like just a list, not an array, just a list. But after I execute this one and execute data 0, you will see values of for the first row. And then if I type data 1, what will happen? Second row. And then likewise it will get the third row. And if I add them together, what will happen? If I add them together, what will happen? I discussed last time. I discussed if I add in NumPy at the very beginning. I discussed if I add something like this, what will happen? It will sum each values together. So data 0 mean it is extracting the first column and storing in a separate value. In here is not storing, actually it is accessing the first row. It accesses the first row 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is the meaning of data 0. Then data 1. So it will access 4, 5, 6 and 7. Then if I hit like data 1, data 2, what will happen? It will get the last row 8, 9, 10, 10, 11. If I do like, okay, data 0 plus data 1 plus data 2, what will happen? It should get 0 plus 4 plus 8 and then give me the value 8 plus 4, 12. So that's the thing that I asked now. Calculate the sum of each column. So now it will calculate the sum of these individual values and store in new cell. So if I execute the this one, what will happen? You can see. Let me copy this command and paste. So what will happen? It will do the calculation. So it will get the sum of these individual columns. So now I have a small question: how I can do the row, like row wise sum? This is for the column wise. No, if I need to get the row wise sum, I can do it. This is for columns. So type it in your computer and show me the output. So here we came for the coding. No, I don't need to code, like you need to code. Sometimes you will like encounter something like this. In here I just get columns. Now I am asking how we can get the sum for the each row. So what we need to do? We need to go the opposite way. We need to say like data something and then get these values. First column into a separate array, then the second column into a separate array, then the third column into a separate array, fourth column into a separate array, and then do the plus. So how I can do this one? How I can do? I just need to, I can like even modify in here, or I can do it from the beginning. So what should be the command in here? Just imagine if I need to get first column into a separate array, what's the command? Double colon, comma, 0. What will happen? Here it is saying me an error because I type instead of dot, I type colon. So now what happened? It get the first column. So likewise, if I need the second column, colon, comma, first. Now it give me the second column. So likewise, I can do this one if I need to do the calculation for row wise. That's the other thing. Now you need to remember we have an issue in here getting the sum of each rows and each columns. We need to do some like calculation, no? But when it comes to X array, there's an inbuilt function. You don't need to type something like this. In X array, there's a short command. If you type that short command, it will do like column wise calculation, sum, average, anything you can get within seconds. But in here, you have to do a trick like this. And then, how can we get the sum? Now I am asking, okay, sum these all the values. After getting the like each column average, column sum, add these two all the values together and give me the sum. That means 12 plus 15 plus 18 plus 21. For this one, in NumPy we have an library called .sum. So if you can like type this command separately. If I type np.sum and then if I view the Docstring, what it is saying? Sum of array elements over given axis. So if I in here I need to mention the axis as well. So in here if you see, first one will be the array, then axis equal this one. If there's a specific data type I need to create the final array, then I have to specify the data type. So if you discuss it like go in here is saying A is array like elements to sum and then tuple or other optional and then the axis. Even if you go down, you will see an examples. So here np sum 0, 5, 1, 5. What will happen? If you pass the default thing, it will sum like add these two values and give you the output as 2.0. And then if you pass something like this and specify okay np int 13, what will happen? Final output will be integer 32-bit type. And then if I specify okay, now you know this is like what kind of array is this? Is it 1D, 2D or 3D? This one is 2D because you can see like 2 commas and then the first row and then the second row. So now I am saying axis 0. So if I specify axis 0, what will happen? 0, 1, 0, 5. If I specify axis 0, it will give me the column sum. That means 0 plus 0, 0, 1 plus 5, 6. In here, if I specify axis 1, what will happen? 0, 1, 0, 5. Then 0 plus 1, 1, 0 plus 5, 5. So how I can get the calculation like the sum in this column now? So either I don't need to specify the column. I can say okay, np dot sum and then get the sum of this one and print. So here I need to mention the print. Delete this. So now you can see value as 66. If you like add these values together, you will get 66. So in here, if I execute this command, what will happen? np sum data axis 0. What will happen? If I print data, array is like this. Now I am saying, okay, np sum data x is 0. X is 0 mean sum in this direction or sum in this direction. Which direction? So you can execute this one. So the final output is 12, 15, 18, 21. This get the column sum or the row sum. This is the summation of this column, first column, and then the second column, and then the third column and fourth column. So you can see there's two ways. Either you can follow this one, or either you can do it like this. Both way you can get the sum of these columns. But what will be like more advanced if you don't know, like just imagine you have like 10 or 100 rows. Otherwise you have to repeat this one in a loop from 0 to 99 and then do this one. But instead of that you can use NumPy, then sum your data and then specify the axis, and it will calculate the sum according to the given axis. So these are some basics in NumPy. And yeah, for the column where we need to modify in here, if I need to get for the rows. Now actually this one is for the columns, this is for the sum of the columns. 0 plus 4 plus 8 is 12. But if we need for the rows, here I need to mention only one thing. Where should I modify? In here, if I need to get the summation of 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, where should I modify in this single command? Yeah, I need to modify axis to 1. If I specify like the axis 1, what will happen? 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6, then 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, 22. Likewise, you can get the rows. Yeah, if we hit 0, we get 4y. What's the shape of data? What is the shape of this one? Data dot shape. What's the shape? 3 by 4. That means 3 rows and 4 columns. So if we get the column sum of this one, we should have 4 values. If we get the row sum, we should have 3 values. That's the simple thing. That's why we have like 4 in here, because we get the values of this one. 0 plus 4 plus 8 in one value, and then 1 plus 5 plus 9 in one value, and then 0. We get the summation. X is equal 0, we get the summation of columns. Yes. Yeah. X is equal 1. If we write x is equal 1, we get some rows. Here, if you need, like, if you give like x is 0, you can get the sum of all the columns. Not all the columns. Sum of the first column, and then sum of the second column, sum of the third column, sum of the fourth column. So at the end, you will end up with like 1, 2, 3, 4 values. But if you hit like x is equal 1, it will calculate the values for like the sum of these each rows. So at the end, how many values you need to get? 1, 2, 3. That's a simple thing. Only thing you need to remember, like if you specify x is 0, it will calculate the column sum. If you specify x is 1, it will calculate the sum of all the rows. Why? This one is like for and like demo purpose. Whenever you need to do a calculation like this, you can use this one. This is only for the demo purpose. This is only for the demo purpose. Not for like any other thing. Even for the sum, like here we discuss only about the sum. No, if you type np.average, we have average function as well. Now just imagine you need to get the average value of the entire column. How you can do it? In Excel you have equal average, then start equal cell and the Indian cell, and then it will do the calculation. Same like this you can like do. Now imagine you need to calculate the average of entire set for equation. How you can do it? You can go this one. I am only saying like a simple example that these functions are there. Even for the average, how you can see? Now if you need to get the average, how you can get the average? You can view the docstring. Just go in this function and like check the docstring of this function. Here also you have the axis. So if I type the same command in here, what will happen? Now what will happen? 4, 5, 6, 7. Why I get 4? 8 plus 4, 12 plus 0, 12, still 12, and divide by 3, value is 4. Just imagine this is like only like 3 by 4 data, but if you have like huge amount of data, it is better to use this kind of equation rather using something like this. So those are the basics, and then if you go for the intermediate part, the slicing, if we continue this one, same thing, if we go with the slicing. So same thing, we can import NumPy slicing we discussed. Here it is reshaping and then np.sum. So if I hit np.sum, what will happen? It will sum these all the values and give me the value of the entire table and the sum of the entire table, like values of all in here. And a dot shape we discussed. It will give me the shape, and np.sum a specify axis. It will do the calculation for every single axis, and then np sum a axis 1 it will calculate the column sum, and then advection. So if we need to calculate the temperature advection, how we can calculate? Here I am not loading the data, I am just loading some sample data. So I am creating temperature UV. How we can calculate the advection? So this is the code. Let me share this one in the group so you can do the calculation for this one. How to calculate the advection? Guys who are doing in meteorology, they should know like how we can calculate the advection using these three, like U, V, and temperature. So how we can calculate the advection? So just imagine in here I am creating like some sample data. Okay, I am not loading the actual data. Next step is loading the actual data to the code. In here I am just creating temperature, random values between 100 and 50, and then np random till 100 create values like 50 values, and then for V also create 50 random values. So if I execute this first one, what will happen? What will happen if I execute these three and like view temp? So I have a random array of these values. Shape 100 and shape is 100 times 50. So if I type temp dot shape, shape is 100 by 5. This is creating a random array in shape of 150. And even for U, if I type U shape, what will happen? 150. Even for V is 150. So now how I can do the calculation? So now I need to get the gradient value of the temperature. So if I type np gradient temp, what will happen? and I am saying like I need to get the shape of this one. It should be like this JP. It cannot be in the shape, so I need to store this one, gradient and x and gradient y. So it will store the values in gradient x and gradient y separately for the temperature, and then gradient vector I need to stack this one separately, and if I type gradient vector shape, let me type the gradient vector shape, what will be happen? 150 times 2. What happened in here? So it calculates the gradient and then stored in gradient x and gradient y. So there will be like two addition type, like two new dimensions. In actual data in here, the temperature is in which dimension? Temperature should have 150. Then I added another two dimensions in here, gradient x and gradient y of the temperature. So at the end, I should have the temperature value, that means 150, and another two variables. So this will be like three-dimension data. So in three-dimension data, we discuss how we have the three-dimension data. So now I have, if I go with the Q, I have first value is 100, no? That means I have 100 rows. In here I have 100 rows, and then 50 mean number of columns. I have 50 columns, and then I have two other values. That means I have one set like this and another set with same dimension like this, 100 and 50. So this one is what? Gradient of temperature for x. This one is gradient of temperature for y. So now how I can plot these two wind vectors? If it is like wind vectors, how I can do this one? So the next one, if I see this one and it's giving me this and then wind vector, so I can create the wind vector using u and v. So here I have u values and v values as well. This is for temperature gradient. So now if I get the wind vector, if I type this, what will happen? If I type and print this wind vector, I have the same shape. For the winds is creating u and v, stacking u and v separately in another data set as a wind vector. So wind vector and temperature gradient now in both dimension. So in here, gradient vector for the temperature is 152. So in here, wind vector dot shape, what's the shape of this one? If I do this one, np stack. So you can view the command. What is it doing? The stack arrays in the sequence depwise. So it will stack two different arrays together to form a three-dimension data set. Now the shape of wind vector is should be also in 152. Why? Because u also in the shape of, if I hit u dot shape is also in 100 by 50, and even if I hit v dot shape is also in 150. Now I am combining these two to form another vector data with these two together. So if I stack u and v together and get the shape, it should be 152. Now I have two different data sets. So now how I can calculate the advection? So I have the temperature gradient and then I also have the wind vector. Using these two, how I can calculate the advection? So how to calculate that advection? Wind vector times the gradient vector and then get the sum of axis minus 1. So what will happen if I type these two? What is the purpose of the star? The star is to multiply. No matter what, multiply. Multiply the wind vector by minus values of gradient. And then it will create an new array. If I go with this one, what will happen? So final shape is 150 by 2. Why? I can perform something like this because both arrays are in the same shape. You don't need to think about the equation or anything in here. Only thing you need to focus about like data, like the shape of the data and the calculation that we are doing. So if you do a multiplication, addition or anything, both arrays should be in the same shape. So at the end, even the multiplication, what will happen? It will multiply the first value of the first column, first row, first variable with the other data set, first column, first value, first variable. So at the end, you will get another data set like this, and then you need to get the sum along the axis minus 1. What will happen? Minus 1 means last axis. Get the sum of the last axis and it will print the shape. If I execute this one, what will happen? So last axis is these two. So it will get the sum of these two and store the values in 150 shape. So if I print the advection values, I can even print the advection values. This is the thing, like these all the things are basics that we discussed. No, so this is like when you are doing a huge calculation, this is the way that you can do the calculation. But the steps, all of these steps we discussed. These are like basic calculations that you will do. In here, you will load the data. Right now, I am like doing a random to like show you how you can like do the calculation. So if you have the data, you can load temperature data, u variable data, v variable data, and then you can do the calculation. But to do the calculation, you see we have an inbuilt function called gradient. If you view the Docstring, what it is showing. That's what I say. You can like read the Docstring of this function, and even if you go underneath, you will see transpose of the array and then the number of outputs that you will get, everything, even the example. So here is saying like import numpy as np and then the shape d float f and then the array will be created and then the output. So no matter what, if you encounter some function like this, just go for the Docstring and view. Then you can understand the function. But all the functions and the things that we used in here, we discussed. But the main thing, when you are performing a calculation like this, you need to keep in your mind that both of these arrays should be in the same shape. Otherwise, you will encounter like problems. Last time also, I also received like 2 or 3 codes from some guys, and they were asking to do what we call correlation analysis and show the dot marks in the entire grid. But for the grid, we have to have like same shape. If we do a correlation between like two type of different data sets, like like just for an example, one data set has like 512 by 528 and the other data set has like 124 by 124. So if I do a correlation between these two type of data, can I do it? For the correlation, there's an equation. It's okay. You can like get the call for the function and get. But when you are calculating, it will give an error. But it's not showing anything like the shape is different or something. But you have to print the shape separately and see that the shape files are like two different types. So then you have to convert this shape into the same dimension, and then you have to do the calculation. For those things, you have to know about these small things like dot shape, dot dimension. You have to check for your data what kind of dimension this data has, what kind of shape this data has. Those things you have to know when you are debugging a code. This one, indexing an array with Boolean. So this is like masking an array. So here np random seed. So it will create some temporal, like some sample data set. Okay, it's just only creating some sample data, and it will give me some temperature data set in here, and then SPD. So if I run this command and view temp and SPD, I can see the values in here. In actual scenarios, you will load the data, but in here I am just creating the data set. So if I view temp.shape is 100, only one like one row is there, no any column, like one row is there. If I see SPD.shape is also 100, but the values are there. If I say like SPD print the SPD, there are values. Now in matplotlib we will discuss about this one. So I am importing matplotlib pyplot. There's one variable called pyplot. If you can search for this one. So if you need to do any sort of plotting, you have to call for this pyplot library. So if you go here, is have their own like documentation how to use this pyplot for plotting. So you can see whenever you need to plot, you have to import this one, pyplot. Now in here we are importing only one function in matplot. If what will happen if I like delete this part and import it as PLT? Just imagine I delete this part and import it as PLT. Now will this command run? If I execute something like this, plt.temp. Why? In here I am saying matplotlib.pyplot. For what? I only need to get this specific function from matplotlib library. I don't need the entire matplotlib library loaded into my script. Only load this pyplot and load it as plt plot, and then plot the first variable temperature in red color, and then put SPD values in blue color. So it will give me this simple table. Now if I need to mask the values, just imagine I need to mask whether these the temperature values which are greater than 45. How I can do the masking? If I ask something like this, what will happen? I am asking whether temp, because I have the temperature values in here. So if you type temp, you will get all the values. I have 100 values. Now I need to know which values are greater than some sort of threshold that I have, like 50 or 60. Just imagine here, if it is 50, for this case I am using like it's greater than 45. What will happen? Example data, then PD, and then create the plot. And in here temperature, I have these temperature values. If I ask 45, this one is Boolean operator we discuss in Python. If we like do some kind of this operator, what will happen? I am asking whether the temperature values are greater than 45 or not. So what should be the final answer? It should be either true or false. So if I hit something like this, it is giving me true, true, false, false, false. That means if I go with digital formatting, this should be like in 1, 1, and the other things are like, if it is false, it should be in 0. So first value I get as true. Why? in temperature array, the first value is greater than 45. So I can do some sort of Boolean operation like this, even if I need to save this one, temperature values which is greater than 45. I am saying like this. What will happen? Now what is happening? I am saying temp greater than 45. Last time I say, like, whenever I need to do an indexing, I can say temp, and then within box bracket I can do the indexing part in here. Now for the indexing part, what I have done over there, in the indexing part in here, I have an filter like a masking. I am masking temperature greater than 45. So in this temperature data set that the temperature like temporary data set that I have created, extract only all the values which are greater than 45 and show me. So these are all the values which are greater than 45. If you check for the entire list, you will see these are the only values. If I type 60 in here, what will happen? Let me type 60. So it should be even less, no? I only have this. If I type 70, likewise you can filter your data as well. You can check for your data. This is just an like example. I don't know like how you can like utilize in your coding, because you are the one who are developing your code. You need to know about these things when you are dealing with the data. That's the main purpose. So if you need to filter out or mask the data using this one, index arrays with Boolean values, how you can do? So you can simply say, okay, in this array, get the values which are greater than 45. Even you can do greater than or equal, greater less than or equal. Same thing you can do. Like if I need to get the values which are less than 45, I can do this. In my array, I need to get all the values which are greater than, which are like less than or equal 45. How I can get? I need to go with the less than sign and hit. Then it will give me. If I need to get all the values which were equal to 55, how I need to get this one? Even if I can say like, okay, just imagine if I need to get some values in between, like between a range, how I can do modify this one? I can go either n or like o. If I go with like a range, it should be n. But if I need to specify, okay, this condition and that condition, both conditions, I can go with o. So you can develop this one into any sort of condition that you like. This is just an example. You, yeah, same thing like the indexing part in here. In between this one, if you need to go with the Boolean values, you can go with and or any kind of gate that you like, or like the cross checking parameters like greater than or equal, less than or equal, equals, not equals, anything you can go. And then for the SPDs also I can do the same thing, which are greater than 10, and then copy. If I need to copy the entire data set, how can copy? Just imagine I need to copy the entire data set into another variable. Just imagine I type this one. Okay, I can do either. Just imagine I need to copy the temperature variable. Right now I have the temperature values in here. I need to copy this one into another variable. How I can do it? Now the temperature values are in array. So it has dot shape as well. Now if I need to copy this one, this is the function that you already know. Temp2 equal temp. Now what will happen? This one will copy, but there's a problem if we do something like this. So if I type temp2, this is still showing me array, but if I need to copy all the original values with the data type and everything, the most possible, like the suitable way to copy an array is using this copy command. So what will happen? It will copy the values, data type, everything. Yeah, yeah. Now Yeah. So if I type copy, it will copy entire data with their shape, data type, with everything. But if I only copy this one, it will only copy the value, not anything else. It will only copy the values. Here, if I type the shape, it's giving me the shape in D type. It will also give me the D type. But you need to remember the good way is to use this temp.copy. So it will copy the entire array with return a copy of array. It will contain all the things. You can like read this one to get the more idea about this. And then this one, how I can replace np.none if I need to replace the none values. So just imagine if I print this, I copy temp2 into a separate cell. Let me copy this one into a separate array. So it will copy the array into a separate array named temp2. Now temp2 greater than what is this, less than 10 SPD values. So what will happen? I am specifying SPD less than 10. So SPD less than 10, what should be the output of SPD less than 10? So I have an array called SPD. Now I am saying SPD less than 10. So if the value is less than 10, it should be true. So now in here, what is happening? SPD less than 10, but I need to get the values correspond to temperature value. So if the SPD value is less than 10, that means it will mask through. That means first value, second value, third value is true. So it should get it should extract. If I type something like this, what will happen? Temp to SPD. Now what will happen? In here, what will happen? Last time I mentioned something like, okay, temp to less than no something. Then it show me all the values greater than that specific, like less than or greater than no, the whatever the equation I type in here. Now in here I type temp2, but inside I type SPD less than 10. What will happen if I do something like this? To show you guys what is happening in here, if I type SPD, it should give me the SPD values as well. No, in SPD, how many values I have? 100. How I can check this one? SPD shape is 100. Okay, now I am asking about temp2. No, what's the shape of temp2? Temp2 is also in 100. So now I am going to mask temp2 data using another set of variables. Okay, so SPD is also in 100. In here I am saying SPD values which are less than 10. So it masks the SPD values where it is less than 10. Now I need to extract the temperature values where SPD values is less than 10. Now that's what I am going to do in here. So if I type temp2 and execute this one, it is giving me this. Let me print the temp2 dataset. So when I print the temp2 dataset, you can see the first value is 69, second value is 71. This is the entire values of the temp2 array. Now I am going to mask. I need to get the values where that SPD value is less than 10 in the temperature, corresponding temperature value. So what will happen? So first value of SPD column cell is true because it is less than 10. And now I need to get the corresponding temperature value. So here it is masking, okay, this one is true, this one is false. So how should I like extract the temperature value? I need to extract first 3 temperature values. So after I run this command, what should happen? I need to get these, it should have like extracted these 3 values first 3 values. So if you check 1, 2, 3, first 3 values are there. And then fourth value, next 2 values are false. So it should omit. If I type this function, it should omit the next two temperature values. So here it is omitting these two temperature values. You guys can see. So those two values are not here. Then it is saying true for next value 72. So this value should be over there. So see, that value is there. This is the way you can mask a data set using another data set. Just imagine you are doing something like you are going to do a correlation or something with the data set, like the places where the temperature is less than 10 and you need to get the precipitation value or something. You need to extract for that specific location. For that kind of thing, you can do this masking. So here, I think you understand the concept. What I have done, I masked the SPD value. Where the SPD values is less than 10, get the corresponding temperature values. That's the main purpose of this one. You can see it like extracted the temperature values where the SPD value is less than 10. This can be like altered according to your need. But this is the way how you can mask. So that's a simple thing. If I plot and then I am saying np none, what will happen? Now I am saying okay, temp, the values were less than 10, and I am replacing these things as what? np dot none mean it is replacing. Now I am accessing okay in the temperature where SPD is less than 10. Replace these all the values with none. So these values should be like false. If I execute this command, what will happen? Now I am saying okay, extract these all the values from the temperature and replace it into none. So after executing this one, if I see temp 2, what should I see? All the 100 values are there, but the places where temperature like SPD value is greater than 10, corresponding temperature is replaced into none. So in this kind of scenario, just imagine you need to extract temperature. You have an array of temperature, but you need to get all the values which are greater than specific threshold or like in between your condition, and you need to mask all the other values into either 0 or none. If you replace this into none, it is easy for you to do calculation. When you are calculating average, sum or anything, it will be easy because in Python they understand. If they see variable name like the value as none, okay, they know this is a null value, so I need to omit. Even when you are calculating average, it will not account this value for calculating the average. So now you see how you can mask this data. So this is the way you can mask, and then if I plot this one, what will happen? Now if I plot this one, I say like plt dot plot is the function. Whenever you need to plot something, this is the simple function. If you view the Docstring, you can see nd array and array object. It will like plot in this thing, and like tab color should be in red. So if I execute, I should get a line like this, and you can see now they are like empty places. If I plot the other line temp 2, no, if I print temp 1 along with this one in red color, what will happen? Yeah, it should be temp. So if I run in this one together, I need to get this inline, then it will execute both commands together, otherwise it will terminate. You can see anyway the areas where that thing is masked is like removed from here. So let me copy this one and print it in another table. Other value. Row and then row. So here you can see areas where the SPD value is less than 10, all the temperature values have been removed, like filter. This is a simple way that you can filter your data. When it comes to your data, you can like use this sort of tactics when you are masking or extracting specific data types. And then this one, you can try this. Print temp is less than 40 and SPD greater than 10. What will happen? If I execute this one, what will happen? Temp less than 45 and then SPD greater than 10 and then and if both of these condition is true, get the temperature values and print it. So what will happen? For this one to be true, it should like go check whether the temperature is greater than like less than this and also check whether the SPD value is less than 10 and give me the temperature values which satisfy both of these equation and print the values of this one. Now you have a simple question like heat index only defines the temperature where it is like greater than or equal to 18 degrees Fahrenheit and relative humidity where it is greater than or equal to 40%. Using the generated below like extract the values which satisfy these two conditions. How you can get? Now you have temperature data and relative humidity data. This will like create temporary data. Now the thing is how you can develop an equation like with the things that we discussed earlier. Now equation should be like it should be greater than or equal 80 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature and humidity should be greater than or equal 40%. So how you can get these two values? How to filter this one? So good heat index values, how you can extract using this? What should be the command? How we can calculate this? Only simple thing. You just need to uncomment this line and type your equation in here. What should be the equation? Goes in here. What should be the equation? How we can calculate this? There should be like two things to satisfy. So first thing I can type the first equation in between these two brackets and the second condition I can type in between these two brackets and this should be either AND or O. This should be AND or O. Why we are using AND? Because it should satisfy both of these conditions. It is saying define temperatures with this one and relative humidity with this one. If it is either of these conditions, what it should be? It should be O. Since this is like both conditions, we will use AND mark. Okay, now I have two conditions. Now how I can type these two conditions? What should be the two conditions? Temperature values are stored in temp. So temp, now what should be the condition? Greater than or equal. What's the value? 80. And then for the relative humidity, I am using the variable RH. So what should be the condition for the RH? Is also greater than equal to greater than or equal to 40. But in here, let me print and check for the values. If I print temp, okay, temperature values are in this 4. If I print RH, relative humidity is in this format. So it is saying 40%. So how I can convert this one into percent? It should be 0.4. If I convert into percent, it should be 0.4. So now what will happen? Now it will extract all the values which satisfy these two values and stored in good heat index. To print this one, how I can print? I can show it like this, or I can use the print command. There are two separate commands for that. So now it is masking the values. So how I can show the values? In here, now it is only masking the values. How I can show these values? How I can show this index? The temperature values corresponding to this good heat index, how I can print? So here I am saying use Boolean to index to extract the data where heat index was valid value. So now how I can extract the temperature values? So temp should be what? In here, temp should be these index values and print the temperature values corresponding to these places. If I execute, it will print all the temperature values which satisfy both of these equations, because from here you can see all the temperature values are greater than 80. No value is like less than 18 here, no? But the other thing is, for these temperature values, RH is also greater than 40%. So this is the way how you can extract these values. So if you need to print this one and like show it in a graph, you know how to show it in the graph as well now. We discussed. You can try to do this by yourself. And then the indexing using of the indices. So we discussed this one great like earlier. So if I print temp, you know I have how many data in here, and the shape temp dot shape, this is one row. So in one row data, if I type temp 0, what should it give me? First item of that, not the first row. If I type this one temp, since this is like one dimension, if I type the dimension ndim, what should be the dimension of this one? One dimension. So this is not two dimension. If we go with two dimension, then that thing will valid. Since this is one dimension, if I type temp 0, what will happen? It will get the first value. If it is two dimension, and if I type temp 0, it will extract the first row. But if it is one dimension, it will get the first value. So first value of temperature is, that's why I say you have to print, like you need to know to check about the dimensions. For the temperature, the first value is 9 point this one. So if I type temp 0, it is showing me that exact value. And then if I type print temp 049, what will happen for this one? Now I am saying print 049. Now what is happening? It should give me the index of this, like 0, that means the first place, and then 5th place, and then the 10th place. So it should print me the values of these specific places. For the first place, you know the value, this one. And for the 5th place, you can check for the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should print this value. And for the 10th place, it should print the corresponding value. If I check, it is giving me 96.77. So this value in the 5th place and the 10th place. Likewise, you can do the indexing. And then this one, sort. If you need to sort an array, how you can sort? Just in here, it is not in a like order, no? In a like increasing order or decreasing order. How you can sort this one? When you need to sort an array, there is an inbuilt function argsort. If you use argsort, what will happen? It will sort the data in order. If you type argsort.temp, what will happen? It will sort according to the lowest value into the highest value and store in a new variable named inds, and I am asking it to print that one. So after you type this one argsort, it is sorting the values in the order and it is printing me the values. So how I can get now, here is the values, like how it's supposed to be sorted. So here you see 52, 57, 47, 48, 58, and here you see 1 and here you see 0. What does this mean? So this is the index. If I need to sort this array in order, this is the way, like right now in this position, this one should be the first item if I sort, and this should be the second item if I sort. Now how I can sort it using these indexes. So if I type temp inds, what will happen? So I have the index values in this what we call this array. It's like already stored the indexes, and I am calling all the indexes accordingly. So if I print this one, what should happen? Array should be automatically sorted in the ascending order. You can see 58 is the lowest value, and then 102 is the highest value in here. So this is the way how you can sort an array. If you need to check for the highest value or lowest value, there are some other functions as well. But if you need to check, okay, the values that I am focusing on are varying between those, like the maximum value is this, minimum value is this. Now you need to check for that one. Can you check for it if the data is in this order? You cannot. Otherwise, you have to use inbuilt command, find the minimum value, find the maximum value. Or else you can sort your data like this and check for the minimum value and the maximum value. So for that thing, you can use the indexing argsort. So when you hit argsort, it will show you the index, like where it should, like how it should be ordered, how your array should be ordered to be in the ascending order. Then when you call like temp your indexes, what will happen? Like last time we say, if it is like index 0, it should give me the value of 0th place. It should give me, like if it is 4, it should give me the 5th item in that list. So if it is 9, it should give me the 10th item of that list. Likewise, you can sort the array. And then if I need the 10 highest numbers, how I can get it? Only the 10 highest numbers. I don't need to get all the numbers. I only need to get 10 highest numbers in that list. How I can do this one? We discuss. So 10 highest, I can store the index separately. So INDS is the number of indexes. So on here, I can say, okay, what does this one mean? Minus 10, all that mean last 10 values. That mean minus 1 to minus 10. Get those values in this array. What will happen if I execute this one? You should get the last position of these index values. Let me copy this one and type it separately in here, and then print this value as well. What will happen? So it should give me the last positions of these highest numbers, and then if I print this, what will happen? It should give me the highest numbers. You can check. These 10 numbers should be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 10 numbers are appearing in here. So for the lowest numbers also, we can do the same thing, the other way around. If we do like reverse this one, it will give us the lowest 10 numbers. This is the way, like how you can like sort. So if you type this command, what will happen? Now I am saying np dot. Last time I say, if you type np dot, what you can get? If you type np dot and hit tab, it will show all the functions inside the NumPy library. Now instead of showing all the functions, if I need to say, okay, all the functions which contains arg, how I can like filter this one out? I can type within like 2 star marks I can say arg. And now the question mark I mentioned last time, whenever you need to view a docstring, you have to type your function name. At the end, you have to put comma, because we discussed three methods of showing the docstring. One is shift tab, other one is putting the comma at the end, other one is open a new tab and go to contextual help. So if you type dot args comma, it will show you all the functions begin with arg. If I need to go like check for the inverse functions of sine, I can type arc. So in Python it is there are inbuilt functions cos inverse, then sine inverse, tan inverse, all the inverse functions are there. So likewise you can filter the NumPy as well. So these are the basics of NumPy. So tomorrow we can discuss about the X-array. So that's also another library. Then we need to discuss about cartopy, and then we can go with plotting. Those are the three basic libraries that you need to know. Now you know how to like manipulate libraries, how to like do this kind of sorting and extracting the values. You need to understand these concepts. If you know this concept, it will be easy for you.